Hello everyone, Sriram Kumar here. This is for PMP success story. I know there are some gap in the last couple of weeks. People are waiting for, man, what happened? Nobody's taking exams. There are a bunch of people taking exams. People are clearing very successfully. Of course, there was some delay in our side to telecast or supply more dopamine. What is dopamine? When you see somebody win, you also get energy, right? That's a message. So with this, we're going to kickstart today with Supradeep. And Supradeep cracked PMP on 16th of March. I believe after that, he's a bit relaxed, relieved, because I found him from day one, or even before that, he started the energy of exam. So I'll talk more when the video goes on. But one thing I found him is always energetic to learn something. It could be the 4 hours of session. Post 4 hour, we will have some Q&A. There'll be some questions, and he'll be very eager to know what it is. So that eagerness makes you to grow higher. That's a part here. So first, congratulations to Pradeep for this wonderful achievement.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot. Like, it's literally like a dream come true moment for me to be sitting in front of you, talking with you on this success story, because that's how I started my journey initially, like by watching success stories, even before I sat for your first session. So, and I used to be like, wow, I mean, when I heard success stories from various people from various domains, I used to be like one day, hopefully,
I will give it.
hopefully one day, like I'll crack PMP and probably sit in front of you. So it's like, I never knew that day would come soon.
Yes.
Thanks to you for making it happen so soon, for helping me crack in the best possible way. So
nice of you.
Grateful, sir.
Nice of you. Thanks for giving your time. That's very important. I appreciate your efforts to come here and give back. That's very important. Okay. And Supradeep, we'll learn more about him. Before that, we'll see the certificate. And he clicked a snap and he posted it in LinkedIn. I can see his LinkedIn is pretty busy. So how busy your LinkedIn, Supradeep, now? More comments, more people asking you, how do you clear?
Yeah, so yes, it's been crazy from the last 1 week. It's because like a lot of comments. I mean, good wishes from even people that I don't know as well. Like really great to see. And apart from that, I have many people whom I haven't spoken to before as well. Reaching out to me on LinkedIn, and they're asking me like how I was able to.
Right.
How did
so
my journey start?
Which material you read? Can I use that material?
Absolutely, sir. And trust me, sir, like they're like, they want to have a clear-cut conversation. So it's like, they're like, please can you give me a WhatsApp number? I want to connect. So I mean, it's been great. I mean, even like equally, I'm enthusiastic to because I know the joy of having a PMP. So
right.
I would definitely do everything I can to maybe help the other person as well, or whatever I can do to let them know that.
Nice of you.
Yeah, yes, I've had like, I don't know, like many conversations with many people from my company, outside of my company, many people who are aspiring.
All right. Yeah, that's interesting. When you say company, Supradeep looks very little person, like a college student, right? And but actually he's working for a big four, EY, as a PMO. He's a big guy there, but he gives a look like a student. Okay, Supradeep, give a little background. What are you? Where you come from? What made you to come to PMP?
So I work in EY is my first job. So I've been working in EY from 2018. So I have close to like 3.5 years of experience in corporate. I'm into PMO, wherein I sort of handle or manage projects and look after the end-to-end engagements for my clients, and manage them and deal with my stakeholders from onshore. So that's what I do. And coming to like and this is something that I was like actually wondering, sir, like because whenever I saw any success stories also, right, like I was like, everyone were like, I have 10 years of experience, I have 15 years of experience, and all, like, so I was like, someone, at least one person who will say at least like 4 or 5 years of experience, but I didn't see that at all. So I was very scared initially, and even whenever I read Rita, like the chapter beginning, it'll mention, if you haven't done this risk analysis, you'll probably find this chapter difficult. Like, it'll start off like that only. So that actually made me nervous initially when I started off my PMP journey as well. But again, thanks to you, sir, like, the way you made it smooth, etc. So yeah, I mean, that's about my work experience. I'm currently a team lead at EY. managing financial services sector for UK and for UK. And coming to the reason why I began my PMP journey, especially in my company as well, like, PMP is highly regarded, and I've seen people pursuing this PMP certification. Like when I was newly into EY as well, like, within like my first year, I saw my seniors and all pursuing it. But very few people actually had achieved this certification. So it's something that's sort of highly regarded. But then I didn't know back then that it actually required 3 years of experience to pursue it. And then I don't know, like I would say, I then left it off there. When I used to hear about it, but I didn't pay a lot of interest to pursue it myself, if I can be honest. And then it was, I think, sometime during 2021 October or November, because I'm someone who's very passionate about my work, and I feel that I'm good at what I do. Until I found or had a conversation with someone who literally broke my ego and shattered me. So it's like, in between, there was in the conversation is like, do you know what is waterfall? Do you know what is RAID log? And all those questions came up, and I was like, I was totally blank. Even though I was maybe doing it, I didn't know the terminologies, or I didn't know the actual technical terms, project management terms. And there's like, you don't know anything, and how can you call yourself, you're good and you're best? And that literally sort of shattered me. And I was like, oh God, maybe I really
time to take revenge. Huh? Time to take revenge.
Okay. But in a sense, like they say, whatever happens for good. In a way, it's good for me, because that is when I sort of realized that I'm sort of a fish in a pond, thinking that I'm in the big ocean, but the ocean is somewhere else. So and then I was in that is when it was in October or November that PMP again hit my mind, and is like, okay, I need to do something now to upskill myself. And then, but what happened was, again, I knew my target that I had to become PMP, but the way how I reach my target also mattered a lot. 2 months I was just lingering. So like, I mean, how will I do it? With whom will I do it? Because what I mean, I knew that, we can do it on Udemy as well, because I've seen a couple of people doing it on Udemy. So I was like, actually confused how to do it. That is when, thankfully, 2022 probably was lucky for me. I think in the first week of Jan, I bumped into Vibin. Vibin, your student. So he recently, last week, he cleared PMI-ACP.
Yeah.
And then he also, he was PMP certified back in 2020 itself. So I bumped into him. So I had a conversation with him, and he suggested that, this is how I did. ShriLearning is a great institute, and he gave me Rahul's contact and also, and he's like, you can definitely reach out to me as well, if you need any help. So that's how I got into contact with Rahul, and then went through a couple of ShriLearnings, and then that's how, thankfully, at the last moment, because Jan 8th was the batch starting day, I moved to women on Jan 4th. Thankfully, if I had done that, then maybe I would have missed that Jan batch, and things would have got delayed. But thankfully, I can say I was lucky to have found ShriLearning and to be a part of that initial first batch in Jan. So yeah, this is how my PM journey began.
Nice, good to know. I know Jan was a bigger batch with a bunch of people from different domain, different countries. I think those community also helps us. When you listen to people of different levels of experience, as you said, you will see a 35 years experienced person learning with you, and right, literally you will see different questions.
Absolutely. And even like when I even now also people ask me, like, whether we need to go to an institute to learn, or can we just do it on Udemy. The one thing I would say is you can do it either ways, but one thing that I found very useful was the networking part. So like, I mean, the way we get the opportunity to gel with people from various domains, and when we connect with them, we get some part of their knowledge as well as what they do. And also, so that is one thing which is priceless. Like,
that's true. That's true. That's true.
That's what even I advised.
Well said. Great. Superb. So one thing I found with you, Supradeep, you are always energetic for learning and reading. Is it, is this bad habit started from school days?
No, sir. Trust me, sir. Like, I'm a last bencher by default. Like you.
I can't believe, looking your face, I can't tell you are last bench.
So
You should be first
because
bench,
of this,
last.
because of this spec, sir. Otherwise, I say by default because I'm 6'1", sir. So
Oh, okay, welcome to 6 foot family. So I'm also 6 foot. They put me back. Get to the last row.
yes. So by default, I was put into last bench, and one of the reasons was that. And coming to education, my studies wise, I have both experiences. Like I'm a student who has failed as well, and I'm a student who's become the topper as well. So
very good, very good. All the side you have seen. Okay, good,
a
good,
mixture
good,
of
good.
both. So and probably that came from my degree days, like wherein I wanted to best at what I do.
I
So
understand. I understand.
yeah,
So how do you manage classes, listening and learning part? What kind of strategy you follow so that a newcomer to the learning process can also take from you notes taking or listening to the class?
yes, sir. So regarding that, one thing what I was doing constantly was that I was attending all the sessions. So like Saturday 6 to 10. So I used to, I as much as possible I try to follow this. Be the first one to arrive and the last one to leave. You don't miss out even on the tiny detail, because there might be a question that someone might ask, which might not be in my head, but it might come to other person and
True.
that might help me. So I didn't want to miss out on those aspects. So I ensured one thing, that I attended all the sessions without fail. I understand that there'll be recordings as well. In a worst case scenario, due to emergency, we're not able to join, but still live is live, sir. I can just vouch for that. And so I had this thing that I should not miss any sessions, and also including the weekly mocks as well. Our weekend sessions almost start from 3:30 itself, not from 6 o'clock. So it's like 3:30 to 4:30, the test, and then 4:30 you will join us for the doubt clearing session, and it goes on about till 5:30, 5:40, and then 6 o'clock the session starts. It was a great experience. Like, frankly speaking, 4 hours never felt like 4 hours. I used to be like, it got over so soon. And that, last day of Feb 13, we're like, it got over so soon, that it was like a roller coaster ride. Trust me, sir, that's your expertise, because to make a person sit in front of you for 4 hours and not make it feel like 4 hours, right? So that's something, I'd say again, I was lucky to be a part of your sessions.
Nice to know. Thanks to all the people who were listening calm. Thankfully, in the online session, right, you cannot throw the stone and paper on the guy. So you can.
And no, sir, like, in fact, I was feeling like actually little sad as well, because from my other batchmates as well, who were like, I understand, you used to conduct offline sessions, like, pre-COVID.
Yeah, we used to do. That'll be nice. That'll be nice. Meeting people in person, talking to them. We will have a coffee time, lunch time. So see, out of subject, we'll talk something else also, right? Those things will be interesting. Somebody will come and talk to you, Shriram, where are you from, which company you worked, and what do you do? So those are all the things we miss in the online training.
That's something that's true.
We do that.
But yeah, even the online sessions didn't feel like, they were any less with the interactions that we had. And the best part was, like, with all the practical demonstrations that you used to give, so like, your own corporate experience, like, and with all the examples that you gave us, like, it was hilarious. People used to be, I think
somebody mentioned the review, Google review. Somebody said a lot of corporate experience made me to laugh loud.
Absolutely. So that's what, like, all these experiences made us feel like 4 hours didn't feel like 4 hours. It was like
that's a story. Good story. Thanks for that, Supradeep. So how do you do the reading habit? Which book you picked up, and how do you read it? Because even today, I have people from January batch and February batch. They're telling, Shriram, I'm reading 5 pages, man. After that, I could not sit in a place. So what kind of book you read, or how do you read?
So I just followed whatever you told us. So one was Rita 10th edition, and then Agile Practice Guide. Initially, I didn't touch the Agile Practice Guide because I thought I'll finish off Rita completely, one reading. So one thing what I would suggest anyone who's aspiring to clear PMP is, like, just blindly follow whatever you're saying without any doubts. I understand, that there might be a little hesitance or doubt, or following in our own way. I understand, the Shuhari model, right? Like,
Yeah.
need to obey. First, we need to follow the, steps, whatever has been taught to us, and then break away from there. So that's what even I did. So I blindly followed whatever you told us, because you've guided hundreds of students like us, and the best way forward. It's like what the analogy that I can give is, it's like we are at one shore, and PMP is like another island. It's like we need to sleep there. But since you've already traveled n number of times, the exact way, where pitfalls are there, how to avoid them, how to avoid the sharks, and whatever you encounter, how to deal with them. So I would say, just blindly follow whatever you tell us. And I just did the same, sir. So Rita 10th edition. And the thing that I did was I also read PMBOK as well prior to this first session, because in the email that we received, it was mentioned that we need to at least read 3 chapters before the first session. But I couldn't connect with the book for some reason, because it's a little dry, I would say, and I used to feel bored, and I used to fall off.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. That little dry, but actually the wordings, what they give, those are the wordings we see in the exam also. So that's the reason, even though they read a 10th edition, at times they refer some of the topic in PMBOK.
True, sir. Yeah. Okay. So I read Rita 10th edition completely, and what I have to do was after the session and all, I, as you told on the first session itself, that we need to write a date, right? So by when we need to clear the exam. So I had written that date on I have a PMP diary wherein I have everything related to PMP in one book. So I'd written that down there, and I started reading. Likewise, we get a study chart, to follow.
So one ask now, when you say you written the date on the first day of the class, is it the same date?
Not exactly, sir. Like the date I wrote was actually 27th of Feb that I wanted to be PMP certified. I did try my best to sort of reach there, but due to some issues, like I
understand.
Didn't get the slots by then. So
that's okay. It's okay. 2 weeks from there, you did the exam. That's fine.
Yes, sir.
Very good. So you use a study plan. You have a plan and you follow that.
Yes, sir. I use the study plan, and more importantly, what I at least, if not all the time possible, but what I was to do was, you used to tell us that next week these are the topics that you're going to cover. So first say, let's say people management. So I tried my level best to ensure that I read resource, stakeholder and communications management for your class, so that while you're explaining the knowledge becomes even better for me to understand and refine. Right. And I did the same for even schedule management as well, which was like one of the toughest chapters for me, at least, because it was very difficult to understand. But thankfully, because I had read it once, and when I attended your session, like that particular day, it became very clear, and I took the chapter test immediately after your session, sir. And I even sent you a link.
Yeah, I know. It's all scores. I want to check that point as you explain your reading. I'll come to the exam part. So anything else you want to tell for reading for the people who are close to the exam or just starting? Any points you want to give to them for reading habits?
Yes, sir. So in terms of reading, I'm someone who wants to read it just once, sir. I don't want to see that 600-page book again. I get intimidated by such a large book, and the content. So reading once is only difficult. So
that's a trend of last benchers, man. We don't want to read a second time.
Yeah. So reading it twice is like out of scenario. So what I did was, while I was reading it the first time, I made my own notes. So let's say it was a 50-page chapter. I used to condense that 50 page into 5 pages.
Wow, that's cool. Key points.
So that if I read those 5 pages, the entire chapter should be in my mind. So
makes sense.
So that was my strategy. And because I've seen few of my batchmates who are actually struggling, and they told me, like, I've read once, but I'm not able to remember the first chapter again. And because of that, they're reading the second time. So I even shared a couple of my chapter notes with them as well, that this is how I'm actually reading and putting it in my mind. And trust me, sir, it helps a lot, because just before your exam or even the full mock that I was taking, all I was doing was just revising. The entire 600-page book was just condensed into 50 pages. Just flipping through those 50 pages just equip me to just go for the full.
That's makes sense, right? Key points when you see your brain works really well, right? And okay, now I talk about the test there. For surprise of all the people watching this video, Supradeep scores in full exams, practice exams, 82%, 90%, 76%. Shriram, did you say 90%? Yeah, he scored 90%. There are people here struggling to cross 55, 60, 70. Now, really, we want to know how you are able to answer within 4 hours, 180 questions, and your scores were all above 80, 70. Of course, some repeated questions could have been there, that we cannot deny, but still the scores are on the peak side. This is the main area you have to give tips to the people. Before that, tell how you approach this exams, full exams.
Yes, sir. So before I thought of taking my first full mock, I ensured that I had completed one full reading of Rita, one full reading of Agile Practice Guide. And then another factor that motivated me or encouraged me to take the full mocks was I was scoring well in the weekly mocks. So in the first month, my weekly mock score was like less only. But starting the second month, my score started becoming 85, 90 again in that range. And then I checked with you as well, sir, and you encouraged me to go for the full mock. So just before the full mock, I just want to give one tip. Take each full mock as seriously as the final exam. That is what I did. And just before, and trust me, sir, it was like, I used to feel nervous even before every full mock, like, thinking that it is the final exam. And I used to make it as close as a simulation possible to the main exam. Like I used to wear a mask, and I used to in the dress that, I would possibly be wearing while going to the final exam as well.
Wow.
Wow. And I used to revise all the notes that I've made and probably just go through the weekly mocks that I would have completed, right? So I used to analyze questions immediately, probably if not immediately after each mock, at least before each exam. So before the first full mock, I analyzed all the weekly mock questions, revised my notes.
So you make sure it look like a real exam right now.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that helps a lot because then when you're going for the actual main exam, right? So you've done it already 5 times before. So then that becomes like almost like a 6th time. Although this environment is different and that makes us a little nervous, but still nonetheless it's more like it's almost like a practice match before your final.
True. That's very valuable point. I really like that mindset. Very good. So now, see, I'll come to the break, how you took the exam other later. In the practice exams, which we have Saturday, Sunday, still there you are scoring 80 plus. Okay. What is the question reading tips you want to share for the people who struggle hard? This is not only for the new people. I have people more than 25, 30 years experience. Literally, they sometimes struggle because of maybe too much of experience. Also, they struggle because when they read the question, their brain start judging some answers. However it is, I found your scores are always high, literally always high, your scores. So now, what reading pattern you follow, maybe 1 or 2 people can pick it up from you.
So one thing is, I used to give myself a lot of time for the first initial 10 questions. I never used to rush. Why? Because even though it is we have taken previous mocks as well, like each mock, like, it's like we need to settle down because our mind is always like, running too fast.
True.
In order to maybe, whether it is the timer ticking down, that can create pressure as well. So what I used to do was, initially I used to take it slow, like the first 10 questions until I sort of settled down. And in terms of question reading pattern, what I used to do was, I am a fast reader, sir. So I used to read the question twice and even the options twice. But I know it's not possible for everyone. So in that scenario, because even if we take the final exam, right, for each question, we have somewhere around about 1.2 minutes or something like that. So even if we take just 1 minute, 1 minute is more than sufficient time to read the question properly once. So I would say, read the question slow because 30 seconds is more than enough for us to read, even if it's a medium-sized question.
Yeah.
I used to read the question slowly and fast, but people who want to read it once, just read it slow. And while reading it, just make point of, the keywords. Like when I say keywords, it can be like, can, cannot. I understand English plays a little role here, but still, like, it's of high importance when we take the exams here. So can, cannot, key, and then resistant, and then influential. So these are the words which will tell us what a stakeholder is, what his power is, or say when it comes to risk, already identified low risk. So that means to say they've already identified the risk. And then the management reserve goes out of picture there. I'm just giving an example. Then that comes under contingency reserve. Why? Because the risk has already been identified, and we use management reserve only for those which are like, we didn't expect. So identifying such words becomes very important. Why? Because that will help us eliminate at least majority of the options and arrive at the right answer. So and especially the last sentence of the question, that's the most important thing, because ultimately most of the times whatever is there in the first and the second sentence of the question, most of the times it is not relevant at all. Like, it can be there to just waste our time, or mislead us as well. The data that they've given, it might not be necessary to answer the question at all. So in that instance, reading the last line, or even otherwise that last sentence of the question, becomes very important. Because after giving so much of description, the last they would have mentioned, like, which of the following is not the right answer, or like that. So
Right.
in those instances is where we can, and I myself have made mistakes, like in those questions, thinking that they're asking for the right answer, but they're actually asking which is not
which is not the one.
Yeah, which is not the one. So
that's a tricky one, right? Your brain cannot quickly think which. We will always think the right one.
correct.
We won't think the wrong one.
Correct, sir. And the other thing is, in some of the ShriLearning mocks itself, that which is not, that not is actually capitalized in some of the then will be easy to identify. But then from my third full mock and all, it is not capitalized. It is just like any other word. So, it is very difficult to identify in such scenarios, because we will skip that part, like, mind just quickly reads it off. So
true, that's true. That's a good points, man. People who are listening to this video, I'm sure Supradeep gave some valuable thing. I don't know how many of you observed. If you observe carefully, he said read initial 10 questions slow. There, if you lose your tense or mindset, rest all will be in trouble. So that's a message there. I like the point what you said, Supradeep. Good. All right, good. So let's talk about something on the full exam, the real exam. So March 16th, the day of the exam. So you went to center-based.
Yes, right. It was
very good. Was the center things are good after COVID, or how is it now?
Yes, I mean, the entrance process was very smooth.
Smooth. Okay.
They will help us, like, give us a locker, and to keep it. And I would say they hardly took 10 minutes for me to verify my ID.
Which ID card they are seeing for you?
I used my driver's license. They accepted that, and they even accept like Aadhaar cards or any government
photo ID proof is
photo ID. But the only thing is, our name should be exactly the same as
spelling should be
submitted to PM.
All right, and they give a locker key where you deposit everything in the locker.
That's right, sir. And locker key, and there the important thing is, if we have carried any study materials or our mobiles or everything, keep that in a separate bag. And whatever food or essential items that we will be using in the break, keep that in a separate bag, so that when we come out of the break, like so that we just food items or whatever.
So we won't keep the eatable inside the locker.
Actually, for me, sir, they didn't allow me to keep it outside. They were like, no, you have to keep it inside only. But that's why I carried a separate bag for that, so that I didn't touch my study materials and all were like inside. Like, I just kept it at the corner.
In the break, if you open the locker, it is not considered as correct, because they may think we are doing something with the content, so they don't allow us. Okay, got you. That's clear. So now when the exam starts, I know these are many things. It's a computer where you have a system clock, where you have a calculator, but does it look like that?
No, sir. Like, so this is where I say, initially I got very nervous, because we need to get adjusted to that environment. The screen was like almost double the size of whatever normal laptops or, the screens that we use. So it's like this big. It's like, the question, like, it will go from here to here. So, so that's one thing, I took time to get adjusted to. And because of that nervousness, or, because of, it could be various things, like, we will be adjusted to one type of font in ShriLearning mocks, and color in ShriLearning Mocks and seeing the same question, in a different font, in a different color there. So all those things, I know there's small things. The question might be almost similar, but small things.
Yeah. But one thing for you, I don't know whether you saw that, there are sample model also available in Pearson. If you go to Pearson, they have some sample model also available. But what you said is right. The color variation will be there. Before you further proceed, I want to ask you. So they're giving a bigger monitor. Is it so? Right.
Yes,
so
sir.
The font size gets bigger, or you have to raise the size of the font?
No, sir. Like it's visible. It's clear.
Visibly there, right?
It's visible.
Also, there is an option. I think it's control arrow or something they're telling, which makes your font a little bigger. Because I heard some of them, the font was so small I could not read. This is for the people who took proctor exam at home.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
In Pearson website, they've given it how to increase the font size so that your question will be for a full laptop screen, so you can see properly. Yes, please go ahead further.
Yes, sir. So, and then initially as well, before we start the exam, it'll ask us whether we need a demo as to how to navigate and all, which I did. Of course, it will take about, say, 10 minutes. They give us a 10-minute duration for us to go through the demo. I did choose for that option, which actually helped me, because that will shows how to mark for a question to revisit it later. And in case if we want to highlight any aspects of the question or the options, we have a highlighter as well. So in the main exam, we were provided with all those facilities, and I did go through this. Although it's not that I used it or anything, but it's good to know that we have such options in case if required. So, and then I started my main final, and I started my first question there. The thing is, so it will occupy the entire screen, and we wouldn't have visibility over like how we have the system clock. It's just the normal timer which is running down from 230 minutes down. And initially, I actually felt very nervous. My initial set of questions, and it just happened the way you told me, like how it would be before the exam. It's like, the first set of 60 questions, it's like wherein we are settling down. It's like the pitch will be very difficult to batting. It's like we need to settle down, get used to the balls, etc. So, and those first set of 60 questions were, I was like, okay, maybe I might need a reattempt. That was the feeling that I actually got.
Many think the same thing. They started thinking, even when will be the next exam? What I will tell to Sriram if I lose the exam?
All these things started playing on my mind as well, because we would have underwent so many things from last 1-2 months, right? What will we tell our family members?
Everything will run the mind. Oh my God, what I'll tell to my wife, my husband, what I'll tell to my...
Trust me, even though I'm not saying the questions are difficult, the questions are okay, but still in our mindset to get adjusted to that environment and that nervousness, right? Yeah. Our hearts will be beating at literally 120, more than 120 times in a minute. So just settling down there actually takes a little bit of time, and and our chances of making mistakes, even though the questions are simple, so that is where it takes a lot
very
of
high.
I actually experienced, why you suggest 90 minutes for the first 60 questions there, frankly speaking, because of all those aspects and factors, right? So I actually took 90 minutes for my first set of 60 questions. My initial 30 questions were, I felt nervous and, I was settling. But then from the 31st question, I started settling down and I completed my first set of 60 questions at the end of the 90th minute, almost, I think 88, 89 minutes. And then I took my break. And then even if we want to take a break as well, we need to sort of raise our hands. So they'll come and escort us outside and they'll give a tag and everything. So utilize my break and then came back and then started my next set of 60 questions. And then from there on, it became very smooth. I would say as soon then it became like a normal mock that I took at home. With that, I just came down to that comfort level, and then it was very smooth, and I was able to complete it within, I think 65 minutes, and then I had 75 minutes left for the last set of 60 questions, and then again at the last set I was okay until the 170th question. From 170 to 180, again that last 10 questions I was like, okay, I'm about to submit. Because of that nervousness, again that last 10 questions became a little
okay.
And then after 180 also, when we hit on next, it's not going to be they'll announce the results again. It'll ask us, whether you want to review any questions. And and the most important thing that I would like to say is it's better to check for any incomplete questions. In the worst case scenario, whether we might have missed answering any question in between.
How do you know that in 60 questions these are incomplete? What way we see?
So when we go click on the next after the 60 questions, right? So there it will give us a list wherein it says, marked for review, and then 0, it will shows the number 0 incomplete or unanswered questions.
So I can unanswer a question, even I can move to next questions.
That's right. That's
okay. The message to people here is, by mistake, without clicking the choice, you may go to next answer. So be a little careful.
That's right.
Choose the answer and move. Okay.
That's right, sir. Sometimes, clicking on somewhere, our answer might, we might not have answered it as well. So.
If we would have thought B, we clicked. Okay. By mistake, you would have clicked next. We would have went away. And if you come after 60th question, again, you have to read the question. You have to understand B will be the right answer. Okay. So you have to be a little careful. Okay. That's a valuable point.
So, yeah. And after all that, then it was there will be one button, end review. End review, it lasts twice, whether you want to enter review, wherein you cannot review your questions and this is it. This is the final chance to submit it. So
submit.
It asks us twice, and that is where that moment is like
you call all your spiritual beliefs by the time.
All our spiritual beliefs, and all our prayers, etc. And all memories. It's from Jan 8th, whatever I did. Will it really be worth everything, because I'm submitting? It's that final thing that wherein we have waited for that moment from the whatever days, and after submitting that last button, it's I was like this, I literally didn't want to see the screen.
Man.
And I was first word because I had heard in success stories that the first word will be congratulations. If it is congratulations,
you're done.
You passed. So I was like, okay, congratulations. And then I was like, I didn't read anything or go further. So the congratulations word, I was like, still taking time to believe, okay, I'm seeing that word congratulations. Yeah, it is congratulations only. And then, then there'll be a 3-sentence description stating that, you deserve reward yourself, etc. and all. And then I just called my invigilator, and then they were like, you can take the survey. And then I took the survey, and then I just went outside, and then they came in.
Deep breathe. After that, deep breathe.
Trust me, after that, I don't know, for 1 hour I was still in a state of shock. I told you as well, sir, right after I came from my exam hall as well, I wanted to shout, sir. I literally wanted to shout, yes, I did it. I couldn't do it in the examination hall. I just literally went to the washroom. I was did a silent like this, because it meant so much. After all that we've gone through.
Right, that's interesting. We have to shout that. We have to shout that. I remember when I was driving my car. I was having a bigger SUV by the time. On the highway, I was driving back home. Okay, in the car you can shout, right? You close the door. Yeah, keep shouting. The next car guy was looking at me. Some nut guy is driving the car.
Yes, literally, it's the true dopamine moment, sir, because that's how I experienced a sense of achievement.
Yeah, you feel yourself valuable by that day. You start seeing, man, this guy has this much of energy. Why didn't you use it earlier? That's a feel you get.
Yes. So that's truly magical moment, and then I just came out, and then I just give call my family, called you, and then I I literally couldn't even speak. I spoke also, I was literally blabbering something,
I heard many, at least you spoke. There are some people only they breathe in the call. Okay, cleared. Happy. That's a joy. So how much family contributed here for your success?
Trust me, sir, families, it's been my everything. Without them, I couldn't have done anything. So even from the day Jan 8th, when I sat for my first session, 8 o'clock, we have those 8 to 8:15 breaks. So that is when my mom will ensure, she will prepare the food just then so that it's hot for me to eat during that break. and my wife will be ready to sort of just get it down for me, because the kitchen is in the first floor, and I sit downstairs for the classes. So and then she'll just get me, and and because I'm unable to, like, because it's a short break, right? So she'll keep coming and asking, like, what I need, am I comfortable and all. And both my mom and my wife, they just like took care of me, like like a 10th standard kid going to write exams. Trust me, sir, that
I'm
was
about to say that. Man, look like a proper agile team, man. Full
yes,
scrum activities happened there.
Absolutely, sir. So probably if I say they were the actual servant leaders facilitating me to actually undergo the sessions and take my exam. So
Right.
and
Right.
I'm kind of a, like, I'm more of a person who spends more time with my family
Good.
than with my friends. So, and for the last 2 months, like, I literally given them zero time. Like especially my wife, like, she supported me a lot.
I understand.
And I just
I
words
understand.
to describe
So,
what they've
so
done.
post success, you gave good party treat to them. Hopefully.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Like, and even my mom as well, like, she's been very supportive of it. And it's like, it just took me back to those school days, like, initially, like, when we get that result, and mom and dad are like waiting, like, and trust me, sir, this happened after every mock, every weekly mock. Used to ask, like, what score did you get? And if I say 80 plus, she used to be like, okay. And if I say, like, 76, why 76? It was literally like that. And even after, it used to be, because I used to take my full marks like from 6 to like 11 o'clock, that 10 o'clock. So they used to be awake, just to know my actual mock scores. And they used to be like, wow, if I scored nice, like, wow. And after 90, when it dropped down to sort of 76, like, why, what happened to you?
Wow, man.
Like those,
I thought you are the only person simulating the real exam. Your whole family is simulating the real exam.
Because of how I was reacting, they actually believed like I was actually going for a main exam.
That's sick, man. That's crazy. Huh? When you get 70, your parents will scold me. That coach, I know this guy. You would have not taught properly.
No, sir, like they have very high regards for you. Like, I keep them about you as well. So I mean, yes, sir, like, and even during my walks as well, like, during those 10-minute breaks, like, they used to ensure that I have my coffee during that time. So they used to prepare it on time. So I couldn't have done it without them. So
Wow, man. They
my
pampered
mom,
you, man. They pampered you.
Actually, sir, they literally pampered me. Like, everyone's like my mother-in-law,
nice.
my
You
entire
deserve
family,
that,
so.
man. Your scores are really good. In fact, I picked up this. I want to talk about this topic with you. This reason is your scores are always consistently high. All right. So I believe you gave a good amount of tips here for the people on the books to read and the areas to focus and how to look at the question, how to do time management in the exam, how to keep every mock exam as if as a real exam. Right.
Yes.
So if 8 o'clock is the exam, get ready 1 hour before. Have the mindset of this exam. You even dress up as if you're going for the main exam. Right. Keep your room closed and sit concentrated, no distractions. See, 2-3 days back, I have one person said the exam is going on. Middle of that, I had an office call. I have to pick up the call for 10-15 minutes, again come back. I'm sure it's a distraction. You won't get back on the track. It's going to be tough. Really good. Really good message. Nice to know. Nice to know, Supradeep. So any more last points you want to share with people?
Again, so, like, I'll just repeat, or just tell the same things also. To achieve anything, right? So they say, like, you need to have a target in front of you and a guru behind you to sort of just tell you or guide you the way. So I was lucky to have a guru like you, sir, who sort of guided me in the exact way. Because trust me, sir, PMP is actually, I didn't, because in my mind before, PMP was something, it's very complicated, very difficult to achieve. This was the vibe that I had before joining ShriLearning. And from Jan 8, when I was in contact with you constantly, and when I completed it within a span of 2 months, and even now, so, like, when after.
Yeah, go ahead. Your net is back. Yeah.
Sorry, sir, lost you in between.
Yeah. Fine. Please proceed.
So as I was saying, sir, so even when I spoke to people, like, after posting in LinkedIn, like, and they asked me, like, you just completed in 1.5-2 months, like, how was it?
Short duration.
It's all credit goes to you, sir. I just followed whatever you had suggested. So that is the main key thing, sir. Because what happens is we just need to keep our egos, or everything aside when we sort of enter your sessions, just learn with a complete free mind, or a clean mind, because we have experienced so many things in our corporate world, and we might be under the assumption that this is the right technique. But whereas, in order to achieve PMP, like, it has its own mindset, it has its own PMI ways of methodologies or whatever it is, which of course you will definitely teach us, and just strict compliance to that is what is needed, sir. And the other thing that I just wanted to tell was, like, just stay consistency, sir. Because even during my 2 months period, right, I wouldn't say I was able to focus on a daily basis. There were days, because even professionally speaking, that was the time wherein we started our Jan session, and then immediately we had Omicron, the third wave of COVID, due to which professionally, my entire team got affected. And if we are a team of 5 and 4 of them were COVID positive. So it's like for 2 weeks, I was the sort of the one running, managing everything. So even during that, few days I was able to read, few days I was not able to read, but I ensured that gap was very small. Maximum I left a gap of 2 days, but third day I ensured at least I read 2 pages or 3 pages, sir, because that consistency becomes very important. Because if you leave a longer gap, what happens is it becomes a habit. It's a habit for us, and then we might sort of drift away from our actual goal. So that's one thing. Consistency is very important if we need to achieve our goal in a fast-paced manner. And then other than that, nothing else from my end.
Fantastic. Great, Supradeep. I really want to thank you for coming up here, and valuable points from you. And also, I like the way family supported. That's really interesting. The whole family. Yes, that too. I like the point when your mom asked why only 75, because the people are here struggling to get 65, and you get 75. Mom said, "Why less 75?" That really motivates, right? There is someone to ask you, so you feel bad.
Yes,
mom is going to ask.
And trust me, sir. Even my wife as well. She used to be like, "Why only so much less score?" At least in my initial days, I used to score 53s and 60s. No, this is not enough. You need to work harder. So they used to be my motivators, constantly standing.
Nice. Good to know. Good to know. Nice to know. Yes, nice to know. Super. So keep rocking and keep winning more. You are in a big 4 company now, and that's not the limit. You can grow higher, more in your career where you are. I found a great passion with you in what you do. And I've seen you, as I said, from the day 1 of the class till until you complete the exam. You're very consistent, and you are keep focusing on what to achieve. You don't hesitate to ask questions. That's a good thing I found with you. If there is something there you want, you will ask, "Hey, Shriram, can you explain this?" Right. So those are the good things.
That's the other thing, sir. Staying in constant touch with you, sir, and getting your feedback, because that's what I used to do after every mock. I used to message you my what my experience was and what my score was, and then you used to give, or tell, this is good, this is what you need to work on. It's again, sir, how we do it in Agile. So it's like that it is over. We need to get the feedback from you, and then refine again. So
that's true.
That's very important. So constant touch with you, and then taking your feedback and implementing.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, super good. Fine, good. Go ahead and keep achieving more in your corporate life. What you learn now, you have to apply. That's more important, right? That's where the result starts coming out. Certificate is one portion of the life. So win more, and happy for your good success in future. And we'll meet in another good occasion. So thanks for coming up here. Good wishes.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you so much for your time. Sir, this means a lot. It's like a dream come true moment for me talking to you here. So thank you so much, sir. I'm just grateful to you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Good wishes.